Guys, I have some awesome plans for this year. It is going to blow your minds. Hi folks, it's the 1st of February 2022 and it's also Chinese New Year's Day today, the year of the tiger, and I think it's St. Bridget's Day either today or tomorrow, and also the start of the Celtic festival of Imbolc, which is the festival of spring and new beginnings. So it's a good time to start making videos and show you what's going on. I think first I'm going to talk about last year and what I learned from it and what my plans are for this year. So last year I started off here in what will someday be the food forest. Currently it's just about 30 trees that I planted back in March and a pond that I dug in September of 2020. It's come on pretty well. This part here has been just for the ducks. During the summer I had pumpkins, and here I have Good King Henry growing, which is kind of a perennial spinach substitute. I have 6 khaki Campbell ducks, which are great slug eaters and foragers. They've been doing a great job at keeping the water in the pond by what you call gleeing it with their poop, and it kind of creates a fine clay that goes into all the cracks in it, while they're also stamping it down with their flat feet. So the pond has been holding quite a bit of water, and when it got really wet it was coming all the way up to the wall back there. I built this duck house which is on wheels so it can be moved around easily, and it just keeps the ducks safe at night away from the fox. And this is a tiered footpath at the back of the pond, which the ducks like to run along, and it looks nice. This year I'll be planting in more herbs and stuff for the ground layer of the forest. The idea of the temperate food forest is to have a multi-layered woodland with trees, shrubs and herbs, while still allowing in enough light so that everything can grow successfully. Hey Leggy Kelly! Well, how are you? It's crack. So last year I also went completely no dig in this patch, and it was an overwhelming success. I ended up selling a lot of vegetables. I hadn't planned on doing that at the start of the year, and I had planned very little at the start of the year. I didn't do any crop mapping or anything like that. I just kind of put stuff where there was space when it became available, and it kind of got a little bit crazy in the middle of the summer. I learned a lot from that, like having brassicas that both need net to keep off butterflies. It's better to have those both together than to have them separated, so that I can use one big net rather than 2 little nets, and it just takes a lot less time to do that. So when it got down to the middle of the summer, I lost the energy to put on the nets, and I let them get eaten by the caterpillars, and it was a teaching moment that I learned well. And then the shop, while it was a lot of fun, it took up a lot of time. We decided to stay open every day, which meant that we needed to have things ready to go all the time. It meant getting up every day at 4 o'clock in the middle of the summer in order to pick salads that you couldn't pick during the day, because the heat of the day would just make them wilt straight away. So the only way to do it was to get up and pick them early in the morning and put them in the fridge and keep them cool. we learned a lot about harvesting and how to store different salads and vegetables, and there was a lot of learning. So this year we're thinking just to open the shop 1 day a week for maybe 2 to 4 hours and have that as a collection point. So in that way we can have everything ready, harvested, everything prepared for when people arrive, and it will just take up far less of our time and be a lot easier. Then also last year I started on a permaculture design course by one of my heroes, Geoff Lawton. It was an online course. It was very intensive. It was over nearly 6 months, and at the end I did a final design project which got me thinking a lot. It made me think about things that I maybe wouldn't have thought of otherwise, and just put everything down on paper in a way that will help me to plan in the coming years. The permaculture design course is something that I wanted to do for many years. I learned about Geoff and Bill Mollison and permaculture back in 2010, I think. I've always been interested in it, but hadn't really had the motivation to go and do a course. And I'm not really much of a course taker. I prefer to learn from practical means rather than theoretical means, but in this case I was glad that I did it, and it was a bit of an eye-opener. So anyway, this year I want to grow a little bit more than we did last year. Not too much more, because I don't know if I can sell it, and I don't want to be overly commercial with it. I liked selling to a small group of people, and maybe if I could have 20 to 30 people who are coming on a constant basis and on 1 day a week would be sweet. In that way I can use my time for working on the food forest and other projects that I'm interested in, while also being able to continue my video work, which is what I do professionally. And it gives me time to work on these videos for YouTube, which makes a lot of sense since I already have the gear from my professional career. So I want to try and marry the gardening and the video work to create these. This little polytunnel, this year I'll be just growing heat-loving greens. I'm going to take out all the tomatoes that I would usually grow in here and put them into the new polytunnel, which will get a lot more sun, since this one is pretty shaded by the birch trees up above, but this will be perfect for amaranth and water spinach and anything that likes the heat but doesn't really need all that much sun. At the moment I have lettuce and rocket and carrots and radishes starting early underneath the frost cover. So as well as the nearly 2 acres here, I also have about 3 acres to use up the road. Here I already have 10 beds made, and 6 of them are filled with garlic that I planted back in September. There will be 40 this year underneath the tarped area that I put down back in April last year. So this is what it looks like in underneath. Lots of worms and no weeds left everything is gone. Might find a few. I think that's a dandelion. And it's just about giving up. So this will be really easy to take care of, and I shouldn't have any problems with weeds. I don't really have the infrastructure up here to do anything too serious at the moment. My only water source is coming from about a kilometre away on my uncle's farm, and getting a little bit of water, but it's not really powerful enough to do much with. I'm planning to get 2 tanks for this year, but to do anything really I'm going to need to sink a well up here. This year I planted a bunch of native trees and shrubs down along this border, and I have them mulched with sheep's wool, which I got off my uncle. This should keep the weeds down and give the little young saplings a chance. Plenty of cardboard stored in here. So for crop planning this year, I've went a bit nuts. I've been inspired by JM40A and Curtis Stone and those guys who do a lot of intensive cropping with annual veg, and I'm trying to use that system to try and get maybe 3 times the amount of annual veg in the same amount of space that I would if I hadn't. I've already started sowing seeds. My first sowing was on the 6th of January, and I currently have the trays behind me here propagating in the greenhouse, and they'll be getting moved out to the polytunnels and the beds outside. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I plan to make far more videos this year and keep you updated on how the plans are progressing and hopefully coming to fruition. But yeah, for now, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, and yeah, thanks a lot for watching. See you again.